NNF After Dark is brought to you by Sandpiper Vacations. For all of your vacation planning needs, visit www.sandpipervacations.com. Tell them that the No New Friends podcast sent you.
Welcome to NNF After Dark. Chris is going to take you through the highlights of the previous episode and maybe even say some bad words, plus celebrity interviews and much, much more. And now, here he is, the scumbag reselling hoarder himself, Chris Yob.
Welcome back to the No New Friends After Dark episode. I am your host of the evening. This is Nick from Sandpiper Vacations. As you can tell, I am not Chris. He is currently laying here listening with his legs in the air, but for
he's
different
nursing
reasons.
his vaginitis.
He's got the man flu right now again, so who knows? But he is taking the evening
ruptured
off.
Achilles.
Taking the evening off to heal as well as be highly medicated. Along with me is our other co-host, Scott from the No New Friends podcast.
Hello.
I have to introduce you as that. 'Cause that's
I
what
know.
Chris always does. Also, tonight we actually have some extra guests with us. We have Sarah back. She hasn't been on After Dark in a few weeks. So welcome back, Sarah, to the After Dark.
Thank you for having me back.
Yeah. And her husband, Lewis. From
Hello.
Nerd Archive podcast.
That's me.
And another person, we have Classic Ryan joining us this evening again. Welcome back.
Hello.
So you're on last time I hosted too.
Yeah, seems to be a theme with that.
I like it. So I'm just going to get right into it tonight. We have obviously a lot of us on here, as well as an extra special guest this evening that I invited on, somebody that I've been on his podcasts quite a few times now, I think 3. We have Eric Alexander. He is also known as Nola Papa. He is a blogger. He has had the best LGBTQ parenting blog for 5 years in a row now.
Dang.
Is this correct?
Wow.
He's so nice.
That is amazing. On top of that, you launched a podcast. You wrote 2 children's books, and you now have a clothing line. So you're a very busy person. I learned about you from the Nola Papa blogs. As many of you out there know, I am a gay dad myself, and when I became a gay dad, I was searching for resources out there and different materials and just a place that I felt welcome and accepted, because being a gay dad wasn't not popular, I guess, back
prevalent.
Yeah, it wasn't out there in the community. Yeah. So tell us about how that came on and when you started Nola Papa. And
Well, I'll tell you, it's funny. In 2015 is when serious discussion started. First of all, thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for
and
being
all y'all.
here.
I mean, this is an honor. I appreciate it. Anytime that I'm able to tell our story and hopefully knock on a door to anybody that might be, willing to open it, it's an honor. So I appreciate you having us. I feel like it's not just me, it's our whole family. And in 2015, my husband and I, we just celebrated, actually, you guys, we just celebrated our 17-year anniversary August 1st.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's been a wild ass road. But it's been surreal, and it's been trying and beautiful and scary, all the things. But in 2015, we really started talking about growing our family. And around the same time was when the Supreme Court was, supposedly going to change everything. And as we were told, it would be a 5 to 7 year wait for two gay men to get a newborn baby through a private adoption in Louisiana. And it just so happened that in 2015, the courts ruled in gay marriage. We got our dream house, and we finalized our adoption in 3.5 weeks. We had our baby that was told 7 years. It shrunk to 3.5 weeks.
Wow.
Wow.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
So 2015 was a really neat year, and I it took a lot because of the South, and me being I'm from Mississippi, as you cannot tell, but
we have to circle back to that being a gay man in Mississippi, because I'm sure that had some challenges in itself.
It definitely did, and I was out. I did not come out until I was well in New Orleans, and I hit the ground running after high school, and I didn't look back. So there really wasn't a time, until like the first 3 weeks or 4 weeks of me going to New Orleans, I went downtown to Hattiesburg, and fear and scared of getting caught, and and knowing if you did get caught, that the humiliation that you would feel, because Hattiesburg is still it's very redneck, and that's just the mentality. But I was able to go to New Orleans and in a way be shielded from the bigotry that Hattiesburg just kind of pushes. It just pushes. Although it's a university city now, but 22 years ago it was a different landscape. And I think that also too, as time progresses, I have gay friends that live in Hattiesburg, and I wish that they had gotten out. but it makes me happy that they can still thrive, in Hattiesburg. But we started everything in 2015, and it just blew up.
That was very fast, because as we've talked on about my adoption story, it took us about 9 months before we got matched up with Harper.
That's still very fast.
Yeah, exactly. When we were told kind of in Ohio, it was I believe about a 1.5 to 2 year kind of waiting period is the estimated time frame that they had told us. But being gay dads, they said we would actually get picked faster than a heterosexual couple too.
Oh, well, that's neat. That's probably because you're a little north.
They basically said the birth moms look at it as essentially they'll always be that baby's mom in their life, and it kind of makes sense, and it's really kind of cool for us on that side of the story with it. So
yeah.
So you started Nola Papa in 2017, you said, or?
Well, I started the unofficial Nola Papa in 2016, and that was just kind of navigating my thoughts. I wrote in middle school, and I really liked writing, and whether that's short stories, autobiographical, or whatever. And I knew that after our oldest was born, I needed something. Nick, I needed it. I needed something, and when you in the South, in South Louisiana, South Mississippi, whatever, you walk into a grocery store, and all literally, seriously, they look all eyes on you and your family, and they try to, and you see the wheels, they're not squinching or you feeling like they're gonna beat you up, but they're wanting to know, are they brothers? Or is that an uncle? And you become the unicorn in the room, and then as you increase your as you increase your family load, and we have three now, and we have an almost 8-year-old, a 6-year-old girl, and a sweet little baby boy. There's three, and it's two white daddies, and we are as multicultural as you could get. So when we walk into a store, now the eyes really are there.
You stand out,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and
So-
I know Ryan's got a little 3-year-old boy.
He's 2. He's almost
Or
3. He'll
2.
be 3 this fall. Yeah.
Yeah, so he doesn't have to deal with this. So they love kind of hearing our differences and how we deal with our children as well on that side of it. So.
It's funny. I get these weird looks though when my wife and I are at the grocery store. I think they're asking her if you're here against your will, blink 2 times. Different scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, we I know that there's a number of things that make us stand out, and I just feel like it's the universe that keeps creating all of these components that gather together that create maybe someone to stop and and bless it. They're not being mean. And it was actually my husband. I wrote, actually, Nick, in 2016, I wrote a viral piece. I had no idea. They all take your work and they just like, and they don't even tell you, but I wrote about going to the supermarket in Chalmette, Louisiana, and I was very not confident, whatever that word is. It's not confident. And we had just had our oldest daughter. She was a newborn. And my husband now is a psychiatrist, and he's the smarts in the two. And I owe everything to my baby, but he way back in 2016, he told me that rather than looking at the people looking at us as judgment, look at it as curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
And I had never thought of it like that. I thought it as judgment. And that is my own inferiority complex, troubled childhood. You pair that with all the other things, then I'm going to feel like I'm being judged. But in all actuality, people are just wanting to know what the damn deal is.
Yeah.
And it took my husband to peel back my layers and understand that people a lot of times are coming at it in an innocent way. And the more we can be more embracive to that, the better that maybe somebody might understand where we're coming from.
That's
go
ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I say it gave me goosebumps just like hearing you say that.
Oh,
yeah, it's so interesting. Nick kind of shared before we started recording. I always considered myself an ally until I got to know Nick a little bit. But now looking back, I was like, no, I was a supporter, I was an acceptor, but I wasn't a true ally. I wore the colors. I said, I support. It doesn't impact my life. And now just kind of learning more about what Nick goes through every day. I made this analogy, and it's a really terrible analogy, so please forgive me. The closest that I will ever get to know what it's like to walk in Nick's shoes is we've got one of our branded shirts. It says "We Say Gay." It's a pink shirt, the podcast logo, but very big. We say gay. And as I wear it out in public, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, okay, is someone going to say something to me? Am I going to get beat up or whatnot? And it was this realization, like, oh my God, that is
every damn day. Every damn day.
That was my aha moment. And, I wear it very proud. It's nothing like that, but it's just like, that's the closest that I'll ever feel. And that was, I think, the first moment when I was like, wow. Anyway.
Wow. And that's mic drop right there. Cause a t-shirt, that's funny. Cause whether it's a t-shirt or it's a life, Nick, that's pretty, representative. Come on.
Yeah. Exactly. We talked about it, and that's it. I feel like I have to come out every single day. Every time I'm in public, it's essentially a coming out of like, are you gonna fight me back or what? So
Also, too, though, what that makes it more complex is race. I said it. I said it. I mean, race is it's a complexity. So, I have a black daughter. We're two white gay men. Yeah, and what?
Mm-hmm.
You
Right.
know,
Lewis,
I also have a both Hispanic boy and a girl. But when you're out in public and people, and it happens, and I've written about it, nolapapa.com, when you walk the streets in New York City, down Wall Street during Gay Pride, and you're berated and harassed the entire block because your race is different. It happens. That happened 2022. And it wasn't because we're gay. It was because it was two different races. So, we're trying to get all these gay equal rights and all that, which is great, but we're still worrying about race.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And I completely understand what you're saying because I'm Puerto Rican, and even though that there's a lot of Puerto Ricans and Hispanics here in Florida, we still face that. We still face that. And one thing that there's two stories that come to mind every time that we talk about this. My grandparents, they went to a grocery store and they were in line and they were talking to each other. And someone behind them said, "You are in America. You should speak American."
Mm.
And I'm sorry. No, that's not going to happen. That they're not talking to someone else. They're not trying to communicate with someone else. They're talking between each other.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're talking between each other, they have every single right to talk to each other the way that they please.
mhm.
And this goes back and having an issue in a Walmart in Kissimmee, Florida. It's one of the it's
Puerto
the
Rico
most
North.
Puerto Rican, the most Puerto Rican place you can find here in Florida. And there was a big issue with a Walmart that two employees were talking to each other on their break in Spanish. And the managers and the higher ups told them they could not do that.
Mm.
And that is completely unacceptable.
It is.
And the other story that comes to mind is Sarah was having a conversation with this person, and I am not going to mention where, I'm not going to mention who, but she was having a conversation with this person, and this person said that he hires people, doesn't matter where they're from, because the government allows, or it didn't allow to hire immigrants before, and now he does because the government does. And he went on a rant about it. But the problem is not that he's having this conversation. The problem is he's having this conversation in front of my wife and in front of my kids, that they're half Hispanic.
I will say that was more specifically, he looked at me and said, since the government doesn't give a shit about illegals doing their work anymore, I don't give a shit about, doing any kind of paperwork that I need to do, whatever. But my biggest concern was that I had my two Hispanic children sitting next to me. And you don't know me, you don't know my story. And if you feel so cavalier about saying that, then what in the world makes you think that I want to continue to do any kind of business with you at all?
Right.
It was just the sheer audacity. And I left there with this gut feeling. And my husband knows, everybody that knows me knows I'm a very realistic, very logical person. And I immediately was like, nope, I want nothing to do with you. I just have this weird gut feeling and I don't want to deal with it. So I get it.
Where can somebody, and not to think that I feel more at peace that you have experienced it too, but it's all about understanding that we all go through it together. I feel so much more not attacked as a gay man, but as a dumbass American that can like have no
Uh-huh.
filter to not harass people in front of children. Like, and when me, like, whether it's me and Douglas, it's one thing. But when you do it in front of our babies, and it hasn't happened just once or twice, like, I don't understand where people feel like that their opinion becomes more important than what any. I don't even know how to articulate it.
And that's
it's very sad actually that Lewis and I have had to have the conversation with our girls. Then they go to a predominantly Hispanic school, and we've had to tell them, hey, listen, don't let people make fun of you for who you are or what you wear, whatever, but specifically who you are as, a beautiful Puerto Rican girl. Don't let them make fun of you in any way. They're whatever they're projecting onto you, that's not your fault. But it's just sad that as an 8 and a 10-year-old, we have to tell them that, hey, listen, people are mean and they're going to poke fun at who you are as a person and your race because of whatever reason. And it's very sad.
It is.
I've come across a lot of people like that, and it sucks when I had in my career someone tell me, why you, and this is also comes from the same people with my race that tell me, don't you try too hard because they're going to see you as a brown person. They're not going to give you the same opportunities. And in the beginning, the first 6 years of my career, I always had that in my that was my mentality. I'm not going to try too hard because they're not going to give me the same opportunity.
That would explain a lot about your work ethic when you worked for me.
Because I changed.
Just
I was
kidding.
actually after.
Just kidding.
I was actually after. Hey, listen, son of a bitch. You promoted me what, 2 months in after?
I had a quota to meet. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
In Sanford,
Just kidding.
you didn't meet it. So I had that mentality, and I let that mentality get in my way because I always saw the fact that it was I hate to say it, but it was reverse racism. Also, we have to get that out of our heads that we won't get somewhere because someone is in our way because of the way I look, the way I act, the way I am, and the biggest issue is that there is a problem, and it's hard to get out of that mentality because there is a problem. And for you guys, it's very hard because if they see you acting a certain way, they're going to they immediately, why are they acting like this? They're not like me. And that's the same way with race. They don't act like me. I don't like it. You shouldn't act that way. You know what's the worst backhanded compliment they can give you as a Hispanic or a minority?
You're a well-spoken Hispanic.
You don't speak like a Hispanic. What does that mean? You're if I would have heard you on the phone, I would have thought you were white. What? And that is not just towards me. That's towards any minority, blacks, Chinese, anybody. If you sound articulated, you sound white. And that's what they think.
Not unless you're from Mississippi. And then if you're from Mississippi,
I see what you're, yeah, I see it. I get it. No, but the fact that someone said that to me, at first it hit me like, wait, do you think that we're dumb? That we don't know what we're saying? And one of the worst thing that I can say is, well, I'm smarter than you because I can speak 2 languages. And I hate it. And at first I used to say that a lot. But now I think about it and it's like, no, because people that I love might not speak 2 languages, but doesn't mean that they're dumb. So I had to think about that too. So before we started and you started talking about how you approach things by thinking about, by being hopeful and peaceful and things like that. It's hard for me as a Puerto Rican to be peaceful because we're very explosive. And I think it's a Caribbean thing, but I've gone very far in life by thinking that way, by thinking that I need to be kind. I need to not give them the satisfaction of acting how they think I'm going to act. That's it.
And we talked before about my story, and I've always held my guard up walking anywhere with Piper because we are, like you said, a multiracial family. We are two white dads with a black daughter, and I constantly have held up my guard. And luckily, knock on wood, we've not ran into any issues that you've had. Unfortunately, it's probably more of a southern thing as well too, versus where we live in Ohio.
That was New York City. That was New York City.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I think it was a freak thing, because some things just happen freakishly, and that proved to me, Nick, that it can happen anywhere. We were during Gay Pride 2022, walking the streets. I had never done that with my family, walking as proud gay man, with my babies, and it was intense, and we shielded them because it was like they were wondering why that man was going so crazy, and he was so mad. And you just have to be Papa Bear or whoever you are, and shield them because it can happen anywhere. However, two of the three were the South. But New York let me know that it's everywhere.
Yeah.
That's interesting because Chris, who's not with us tonight, he's from New Jersey. And so he doesn't experience a lot of the same things that I see down in Florida. So it's interesting to hear, okay, New York has it too.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. Maybe a little bit more concentrated in certain areas than others, but it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And I love what we've talked about here, and this kind of leads me to what you are doing, Eric, with your first kids book that you wrote, and how every family is built different and every family is built with love. So we're going to take a brief little break here, and a commercial break, and come back and start talking about your two kids books that you have now.
I love it.
Stay around. We will be right back.
There are three things that I hate in life: taxes, nausea, and booking vacations. The first two I'm stuck with, but for the third, I use Sandpiper Vacations. Sandpiper Vacations is a small business that is LGBTQ+ owned and operated, with travel advisors all over the country. Whether it's a cruise, a trip to a theme park, or an all-inclusive resort, Sandpiper has you covered. Oh, and I forgot to mention, it's free. Why book a vacation when you can have someone else do it for you? That's like choosing to take the stairs in a building that has an elevator. Leave the headaches of booking a vacation to someone else. Get your quote today at www.sandpipervacations.com and tell them that the No New Friends podcast sent you.
Hey everybody, it's Scott from the No New Friends podcast. If you'd like to hear all of our episodes, all of our past episodes, just visit our website, nonewfriendspodcast.com. All of our links to all of our old episodes are there. If you didn't understand an inside joke or just wanted to re-listen to something, just check it out. It's nonewfriendspodcast.com, or you can check us out on all streaming platforms.
All right, we are back with Eric from Nola Papa. So we've had some really great discussions talking about your family. You've read a lot of blogs, I'm sure tons of blogs about your life story and the issues that you've gone through, but that leads you to writing a kid's book. So let's talk about your books.
Well, thank you, Nick and y'all. In 2015, like I was telling you, And as our oldest grew, we would go into places and stuff. I knew that people were dumbfounded and curious. But also, as she got older, there wasn't really like representation, and it became irritating. Because when I would find representation, it was kind of like a flimsy, like you could fan yourself on a hot summer day, and I wanted a book that, had integrity, like the way the binding, it was a well-made book that was beautifully illustrated, and it showed a story of inclusion, and it would teach all families, not just gay families, but any family that wants to teach, inclusivity. It would give them the opportunity to open a vibrant book that's well made and in America, and and it be able to give the kids the opportunity to lead the conversation, because at the end of the night, when you're reading stories, usually the story that you're reading creates a lot of dialogue. It gives the kid the freedom to ask the questions that maybe they wouldn't ask at lunchtime. They're going to ask it right before they go to bed, and you give them that opportunity. You don't have to create the conversation. You read the book, and it's not about an agenda and all that bullshit. It's not about that. I didn't say gay one time in that book. It's about love, and it's about what families look like, period. There's two dads, there's two moms, there's, one dad, there's one mom, there's all different types of families. And the more children are able to see that that is more commonplace than what we always see behind a white picket fence, I think the better that the future of tomorrow has, and that it was a birth out of frustration. It was. I said it. I said
it. And it's so true. And it's not, as a gay parent, it's not something I really thought about until we had a kid, of like that representation. Like, I grew up on books, and we have some of our favorites that we always read it as a kid, and like The Very Hungry Caterpillar, don't remember it now, but one that I used to read. But finding something that resonates with not only us as a family, but as my daughter as well too. I found some Black hair type books even out there too, and little book Daddy Papa and Me and stuff like that.
I felt like that when because when we first started Addie, it changed. Addie Underwater. It was when the huge racial clash happened in America, and I think it was the guy in New York that was killed, and he had cigarettes in his pocket or something like that. George Floyd. It was George Floyd, and it ignited such a divide and hateful tension in our country. I knew that we had a precious little mocha drop, and I was like, people need to understand race. And I thought that our baby, our middle, Ella, she would be the perfect Addie, because she is that mocha drop, that Black, beautiful, distinct little girl. And we do she comes from two white daddies, and she has two Hispanic, brother and sister. What better way to showcase race than an inclusive family that's led by, a brave little Black mermaid, and, to allow, this is before Disney. Okay. All y'all. Okay. This was like 2020. I had no idea Little Mermaid was even a thing, but I knew that, I wanted other families the opportunity to have, if they have a Black daughter, or if they have a multiracial family, or what have you, not even if they didn't, and it was as white as, snow, that's great. It's about inclusivity and the opportunity to teach our kids that love thrives, in all families, not just look what you look like.
Yeah, and I love that because you're not,
Oh,
like you
look
said,
at
you're not
his
mentioning that it's
look
I
at
know.
his background.
Scott made it as a
Y'all
background.
better,
I
y'all better look.
I
at
had my
that.
husband grab it. I have both of them right here.
Oh, that's so cool.
They are. It's literally Piper's. Piper loves mermaids, so having a mermaid themed book is exactly perfect for her. But on top
It's
of it,
funny
like
when
you
I look
said,
at the cover, it looks like Piper with
it
the
does.
Right?
Yeah,
I agree.
we call it her little Piper poofs too.
Piper poofs. I love
Yeah.
that.
So she sees herself in it, and I like that you said, because you didn't mention work once that it was a gay book or gay dads.
Right.
You mentioned that
Yet
it's
I
about
still
race
think
and
it's
love.
getting canceled. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like I hadn't even said that word, and people want to run with it. And if it is, if it isn't, I don't know. In Florida is its own little basket.
Yeah, talk
Hope.
about the struggles that you had with. I know we had talked before in your podcast about Florida and how the book ban and stuff.
Well, I mean, I know that it just being a marginalized topic, it gets flack, and but this is the thing, and I think since then and now, I can't give trolls the power, and they would never. And I mean, and maybe if they did, I might think differently, but they wouldn't do it to my face. Those other encounters that I had, those were strangers. Yeah. But what happens online, and the audacity and the free reign that people feel like they could just come for, despite whatever it is, I can't give my power to that. And whether it's me not reading comments or me not going down a rabbit hole, I used to would want to know all of it. FOMO, all of it. But my mental health is better.
Yeah.
And I know that what I want, and genuinely from my heart, the trolls don't understand that. And it's not my place to change their mind, because I can't. They're crazy, and I just need to know that I need to focus on me and my family, and not give in to that viral post or that blog that I made in 2017 or 2016 about my confidence level. You give your power away when that happens. You have to keep your power.
Yeah.
Eric, I'm sorry to interrupt. They're called keyboard warriors. People that will say anything behind a screen. They, I think you're muted.
Oh, am I muted?
They're sitting right next to each other, Eric. That's why.
Yeah. Sorry. No, we had to have this conversation with our children, actually, about what keyboard warriors are, because we, collectively as a group, I can say, did not have to deal with this growing up. And now we have to have this conversation with our children about, who these people are, and how they feel entitled behind a computer screen and with a keyboard, but not to your face. Never.
Right.
Never to your face. But they will feel like they can say anything with as much power as they think they have, behind a computer screen.
Keyboard warrior gives them so much dignity, though. Like, they are like ugly, nasty trolls.
Oh, they are.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
Warrior, I feel like, Last of the Mohicans, and the warriors that would like run through the woods without you hearing them, because they could run so fast. That's a warrior. To me, the people that don't even think about feelings and the repercussions, especially, can you imagine if people with mental health issues that read the type of stuff like where's the mother, or y'all are it's an agenda like that to me, not to say y'all are wrong for thinking a keyboard warrior, to me they are assholes. I can't teach that to my kids.
Absolutely.
I can't
sure.
teach that.
No, and
I wouldn't
I
say that to my kids, but I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
and I completely agree with you. And it's just a terminology on the
Sure.
internet. That's what they're
Right.
called. And I'm sure
Oh,
that
okay.
someone that is that
Gave themselves that title.
name, yeah, right, to justify what they're saying.
Gotcha.
And it doesn't compare, but right now my team is going it's having some kind of issues with some trolls and keyboard warriors with a video that I posted on TikTok. And it's about nerd and stuff, but people feel like they need to voice their opinion and something that is not really their concern. And that goes for everything. That goes for every topic. And they just feel like they just need to say something. And once they start attacking, I learned this a long time ago. When someone starts attacking you personally, it's because they don't have a point. And at that moment, you know you won.
That's good. That's good.
That's it.
So tell everybody out there what the names of the books are, where they can find them.
Well, The Adventures of Addie Underwater is the story of our family, and that was the first one. And then about a year and a half later, we created the second one that's more about finding your talents and your passions. And then when you find them, you spread them on to your friends, and then they can help others find theirs. You know, like it's like a pay it forward kind of thing. The more you embrace like the things that you don't know, and you're taught like your talents and what you're good at, then I feel like that sharpens your spear. And once your spear is sharpened, then you're able to help others sharpen theirs. And that's the Secret Mermaid Review. And I have to tell you, the Audubon Institute, that is one of our dear friends. And when we release the books, that's where in New Orleans, the zoo and the aquarium and then Sectarium and, you know, all the things, they really, they embraced us. And I am indebted to them because they lead they have a bright light, and it being in the deep south and allowing other nearby states to see what that bright light can showcase. It is really, really neat, whether it was COVID and the way that organization, you know, did through the whole lockdown situation and the way that they provided for their employees, or whether it's, you know, embracing an inclusive family and showing that other families can thrive just as, you know, any other. I'm really grateful that there are players out there, you know, speaking of trolls, you know, they can, you know, have their own little raft and sail down the river, but there are allies. And all y'all are allies. Y'all are real timid and such.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put on that shirt and you are brave enough to walk down the street and, you know, even be cognizant of what it might feel like, y'all all are allies. So don't think anything else, you know, and we need more of y'all, and y'all are more important to have a voice than any troll, you know?
Yeah, and I say it every week to them. I'm like, for them to give me this platform to share the LGBTQ plus community and continue the conversations as well too has been amazing, and love having everybody here tonight. It's nice to have a big diverse group that we haven't had in a while, because we've had basically just me and two straight white guys. So.
Yeah, we've had 3 different shades of white is what we've had. One with a little bit more pink than the other two.
And usually the other one's just passed out drunk somewhere. So.
Eric, are there any plans for a third book?
Absolutely. Not yet. I am tired. Oh, I'm tired. But Addie will be a series because there's so many different topics in our society that can be created at bedtime with conversation, whether it's adoption or, the loss of a pet or bullying. I was bullied all throughout, school.
Mhm.
I feel like that if little kids can go to sleep at night after having a really loving bedtime story and have questions and answers with their parents, they will go to sleep. And that is when those little things start to, spark and such. And they're able to wake up the next day and not realize that it might have been the sleep that they went to or the story that was before the sleep. They are able to be happy and, embrace the next steps of life. And long story made long, long story made long. It's going to be a series. And I feel like that there are topics all around that I
Yeah.
think that people need to listen to.
Yeah, it's like we're at a point with Piper. She's 5 now, and she's starting to ask those questions and about adoption. And the most recent thing, like we're reading books at nighttime now, and she starts saying something about marriage and how basically marriage is a man and a woman. And I'm like, no, it's two guys can get married. Daddy and Papa are married. She's like, no, you're not. You're brothers. And it's just like trying to get those things clicking in her head on certain topics.
That's interesting.
And,
I was going to ask you about that, Nick. I was waiting for for the natural progression of your story, but
yeah,
as Piper asked questions and
yeah,
whatnot.
we're starting to get there more and more, and it's these stories like that at bedtime that that kind of spark those conversations, like you said. And Sean just chimed in the chat. She hates when we kiss publicly.
All kids hate when their parents kiss.
Yeah,
Whether it's gay, straight, lesbian, it doesn't matter. When the parents kiss, the kids hate it.
No, we promise we're not brothers. We're married. We're kissing. So that could be a good topic for your next one, is marriage, essentially. But yeah, I mean, we have other kids' books out there that we've been reading as well too, about all these amazing topics. I don't know if you've read My Shadow is Pink.
No.
Amazing story from a guy, I think he's from New Zealand or Australia, wrote it about his son that's his son felt different. He felt like he liked to play with dolls and wear dresses, and he kind of went viral, I think, too. But he wrote this book about whatever your shadow is, you can do anything you want. You can be a female and be an astronaut. You can be a female and be a doctor. You can be a boy and be a dancer. And so all these books are bringing this great conversation. So thank you so much for putting out some books out there for us, and everybody to reach their kids. And if there's any way that we can get your books in more schools or more educational places, please let us know, because I think it's amazing.
I would love for Addie to be in more schools. There's so many red tapes and stuff that I didn't, I didn't realize I would encounter, and I can't be bothered with all the red tape. Whether people pick it up and read it, that's them. I needed to get it out of my head and to know that I'm given the opportunity to others. And if schools or libraries. I started it with hoping that libraries would take it, but then there was red tape, and it's like, daggum it, I'm not gonna waste my, twirling in a circle. I'm just gonna do what I need to do, and if it's meant to be read, it'll be read. And you can read it. You can get it at nolapapa.com. That's NOLAPAPA.
Love it. Well, other than that, where else can our guest find you?
Well, we do a podcast every week, and it's called Unscripted, Nola Papa podcast. And usually everything, hang on, buddy. Somebody's woken up, y'all. I don't know if you can hear me. But whether it's books, podcast, the digital magazine that Nick is about to write for, It's all at nolapapa.com, and it's all about striking conversation to create dialogue to help our society grow. Whether
Love it.
it's disability and our advocates that are disabled in America and where we are as a country, or race, or gay families, or nutrition. It's there. So I feel like that there is a place for anyone that needs inspiration. NolaPapa.com.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much for being here tonight. You have been amazing. There's so much more I could talk to you about because you, like I said, you have a clothing line out there now. You have so much going on in your life that I'm exhausted talking about it or think about it.
You need to go on another cruise, Nick. Go on
yes, I do. So thank you, Eric, for being here tonight.
Thank y'all for having me.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
really
It was awesome.
appreciate it.
We're going to take a little break and we'll be right back. I believe we might have some Scott summaries.
Unfortunately.
Yes. All right, we'll be right
Good night,
back.
everybody.
Hey, you want to join a cult? Well, this might be your lucky day. For just $2 a month and a simple blood oath, you can join our clubhouse and become a friend with benefits. In addition to the amazing feeling of donating to the poor, you will have access to Patreon exclusive content, live shows, and maybe even a behind-the-scenes look at my secret stash. To get started, head on over to NoNewFriendsPodcast.com and hit join our clubhouse. Can't wait to see you at the initiation ceremony. Oh, and in the chat during our live shows, of course.
Welcome back to No New Friends After Dark. We just had a very amazing interview with Eric Alexander from Nola Papa podcast, NolaPapa.com, Nola Papa everything. He's got books. Very, very busy person. Hopefully you guys all learned something. Did you guys learn something out there?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought he was amazing.
For sure.
I love what he's doing. I don't know what to say. I can go ahead.
It's so nice having just like a positive person out there. And
Yeah.
like he said, he's all about positivity, and I love that I was able to find him to bring on and kind of share that.
Yeah,
There's so much negativity. There's so much negativity out there, and you can shut it out easily. Like touch on a lot of topics tonight.
Yeah, and that was the big standout thing for me is like with all the hatred out there, instead of like dishing that hate back, it was I want to understand how they feel. Like it's up to us to understand the LGBTQ plus community. It's not up to you all to understand why the non-LGBTQ plus community hates. It was for me backwards, but then when he was talking about it, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Why fight hate with hate? Let's fight hate with love and understanding.
Love is love.
Love is love.
And the way I see it is, and it's going to sound awful, but it's nice seeing that. Well, it's not nice. It's seeing that other people struggle, and not just with race. It brings eyes to the problem that it's not that they don't understand, it's that they don't want to understand. They don't care to understand.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest problem.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So it's been a good episode. Scott, Do you have any summaries tonight?
Been a really good episode, and I'm just going to bring it down into the toilets right now. So Eric and Nick both shared stories about successful adoptions and home buying, successful careers, etc. It seems like the gays have better success with adulting in general. If only Chris had converted earlier, he would have avoided the whole challenge in buying a house. Just, okay. Lewis got very passionate about race. He had some family disrespect. It was very sad. But Lewis, this is the gay episode of the week. If you want to do an NNF race episode, I'm more than happy to discuss a third episode of the week. Talk afterwards.
No, that happens every week in my house. Don't worry about it.
I know. I was about to cut in and be like, "Move! I'm gay."
During Hanukkah, Sarah's trying to light the menorah, and Lewis comes in with the race thing. Anyway, Lewis reminded himself that he is smart. He speaks 2 languages. Well, Ryan, being from North Carolina, can barely speak 1, so I think that was a little offensive.
I blame the school.
Why he
system,
barely
so.
spoke today.
Yeah, it was funny that the 2 white straight guys didn't have much to say tonight.
Yeah, what am I going to say?
Go figure. Eric said the keyboard warriors makes trolls sound so dignified. Unfortunately, Chris was not here. If Chris was here, Eric would have understood why we don't say trolls on this show, out of respect for Chris, who is a troll.
Oh.
By the way, don't forget to check out Cases of Continuity. Every Wednesday, new episodes drop. This is a Sophisticated Gentleman's podcast. And finally, oh God, if Nick and Sean are brothers, based on what we learned a few weeks ago, what they do at night might be illegal in 48 states. North Carolina and Kentucky being the exceptions.
Yeah, sounds like the right 2 states.
And those are my summaries.
Well, thank you
Beautiful.
for those. Yes. I love that we can put a fun little end on such deep topics that we've had, some great topics tonight. I want to thank everybody we've had on tonight because we had a very, very full crew. So Sarah and Lewis, thank you for staying up and taking time to spend time with us and not have sex.
Oh,
That's gonna happen. Just
Okay.
It's Shark Week. No, I'm just kidding.
Lewis, enjoy your blowjob.
Nick, Shark Week is when
Call me in like 4 years when I need to have that discussion.
oh man, I was not ready.
That's gonna be a fun episode.
With all the people that we have
wait. How old is Harper?
Piper. Yeah,
Piper.
5.
I'm so
That's
sorry.
fine. She's 5, but it'll probably be. She's gonna be early.
Yeah. So sorry, Nick.
Our oldest was like maybe 2 weeks before she turned 10.
Piper's worn deodorant since she was like 3.5, so she's gonna be early.
Yeah,
she's wearing it. Our oldest is not.
Oh yeah.
Listen, we were petrified the day that it happened, so I'm so sorry in advance.
I am so glad I had a boy.
Speaking of dads, Ryan, thank you for hopping on tonight. We appreciate you as always filling in. And also, I guess that's everybody. Oh, Scott.
Oh,
yes. You were here too.
If we would have had 2 more people on here, we would have had about 1 less than a regular Remy's roundtable. So
and we could have made like the Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
Almost. Dang it. Way to go, Chris. So thank you, Scott, for allowing me to host tonight. Thank you for Chris for being highly medicated, even though that would have been some great entertainment. And thank you everybody for listening. So follow me at Sandpiper Vacations. I have not talked about it at all tonight. We have been recording in the Sandpiper Vacations studio all night long.
The beautiful Sandpiper Vacation Studios.
And you guys were not here to watch. You can watch us every single week on Twitch. It is twitch.tv/NNF podcast, where you can chime in, ask questions for our special guests that we have on, or just make fun of Scott.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Ryan.
I know it was very quiet tonight. Sean was on, a few other people as well too, but Ryan was on the podcast with us. We didn't have his commentary, so
next week.
So yeah, thank you for listening, and come back.
Please. Please.
Nick, brilliant job
Oh, no.
again. Love it.
you.
But your intros are starting to get as long as Chris's. Or your outros. Your outros.
Oh yeah.
We'll work on
Yeah,
that.
we'll
We'll,
sidetrack.
we'll script that for you.
Well, we had like 18 people on.
We did have 18 people on.
But he's a natural.
Do you need a move I'm straight jingle?
No New Friends After Dark has been brought to you by Sandpiper Vacations. SandpiperVacations.com. Just check out our website, NoNewFriendsPodcast.com. Become a friend with benefits. Check out our sweet merch and so much more. This has been a No New Friends Entertainment LLC production.